On this episode of the podcast, I'm slightly unwell, so I may cough up a lung, and also there's going to be 3 stories on various things. What a shocker. Who'd have thought? Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Luke Who's Talking podcast with me, Luke. How are you going out there? As I mentioned in the intro, my nose is a bit congested, so we'll see how things go. And, of course, got some stories for you, so let's just get into them. Now, the first one is interesting. I have been selected. I'm on jury selection or jury duty this week. Now, I'm recording this on Tuesday. So yesterday, I had to go to court. Went into the courthouse here in town. We're swanky. We have 2. We have a magistrates court and we have a Supreme Court. I had to go to the Supreme Court because that is trial by jury. So I went in there and, interestingly, wasn't checked by security. I walked in and they had like the hoop thing you walk through, that, you know, the metal detector thing, and also they had the machine there, you know, the x-ray thing you put your personals through. Anyway, I got there and the guy was like, what are you here for? I said, jury. And he's like, okay, in and go around the corner there. And I was like, do I have to put anything through this? And he goes, no. So, okay. Yeah, I could have had I don't know, something sharp on me, but anyway. So myself and a heap of other people were in the courtroom. The guy came in, the deputy chief, I think he was. Yeah, deputy chief. He was a bit of a snoozer. He was like, oh yeah, Leo, this door does this door does that, this door, you know, people coming in and out, blah, blah, blah. Like, he explained how the court is set out, etc., which was good. We watched a video, and then what happened was basically he had cards with everybody's name on them. So he did like a roll call. You hear, you're not. So he had his pile of yeses, his pile of no's. So I don't know what they did with the no's, but the pile of yeses, so if you were there, your name was put into a box. So what happened was, after we did, you know, the admin stuff, I suppose you could say, after we did that sort of stuff, the judge came in, the lawyers for both sides of the case that they needed a jury for, also the accused, should I say that, came in and was put into the dock, and the charges were read out, and there was a plea. You know, he said, of course, not guilty, spoiler, and then the lady picked out, they need 12 jurors. So they picked out cards from the box. They said, you know, everybody has a number. I think I'm 208 or something. So, they picked out the cards out of the box. So it'd be juror number, 1, 2, 3, Cam Deven. And he'd go then into the jury box and wait. Of course, then it would fill up with the 12 jurors. Then the judge asked either lawyer or either defense and prosecution teams if they wanted any particular people excluded. There were 2 people that were excluded, so they needed 2 more jurors. So then they picked 2 more people out of the box. And they, of course, then when filled the 2 seats that were now vacant, the judge asked again, are there people who, if the attorneys have particular jurors they want gone, they were happy with jury. So then the judge then explained to the jury what the case was, what the charges were, are there any reasons why people on the jury couldn't be jurors. And that was all fun and dandy, and that was fine. So then the rest of us got to go home, and but we were told that we have to go back. Now, so I'm recording this on Tuesday, so you're listening to it on Friday or so. But anyway, so I have to possibly go back tomorrow, which is Wednesday, but later on, after 5 p.m. today, I have to call a number, and there will be a message on there, and that will tell me if I indeed actually do have to go back to court tomorrow on Wednesday or not. So when you're listening to this, I may be on a jury, but then also I may not be on a jury. I'm not sure. But yeah, it was an interesting experience, and also you can apply for various compensations. So if you have receipts and things for your parking or buses, etc., you can, I think you're on call for like 3 weeks. So after that period, you can put in for like loss of wages. You can put in for various things, make claims on parking, travel expenses, and that sort of stuff as well. So yeah, interesting experience indeed. And I feel like now that I've been called for jury service, jury duty, I am officially a real adult. Now let's talk about investing. Yeah, investing cashola. I recently have invested. I'm on the stock market. I'm on the NASDAQ, and I think that the New York, now is it Securities Exchange? It's NYSE, or is it Stock Exchange? Anyway, I'm in the US market. Now, I've actually invested in 4 companies, but I'm just going to talk to you about 2. Talk about 2 at the moment. The first 2 I did. So I invested in Hewlett-Packard Enterprise and also Case New Holland Industrial. And I'll explain to you why I chose said company. So I have a list of, I've got a list of companies here in front of me. Actually, I'll just get this piece of paper. Right, so I have here in front of me a list of companies. There's, or maybe 20 or so, anyway, and they're in 5 categories. So I've got like industrial, electronic finance, etc. Like what categories these companies operate in. So now, for Hewlett-Packard, other companies in that sector I had here were Dell, IBM, and Red Hat. Whoops, getting a bit close to the phone net. Red Hat. Now, the reason why I went for Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, now the difference between Hewlett-Packard Enterprise and Hewlett-Packard Incorporated is Enterprise, they make servers and things, storage solutions, and Hewlett-Packard Incorporated are they make computers for people. So I went for the server business, the enterprise business, because look, more and more data is, people are creating more data and it all has to be stored somewhere, and Hewlett-Packard Enterprise make storage servers, network servers, etc. So I thought maybe a little bit more of an interesting business there. And another reason why I chose Hewlett-Packard Enterprise is because a friend of mine's an IT guy, and I asked him what are his thoughts. What does he think about Hewlett-Packard Enterprise? And he said that they have no problems at all with the gear. They have no problems with the personnel there. That's all very solid. So that are reasons that helped me choose Hewlett-Packard. Now, also another reason I chose Hewlett-Packard is because compared to Dell, and especially IBM, and also Red Hat. Now, Red Hat they do software. IBM and Dell make servers, and Dell make computers as well. It's all the same company. However, Hewlett-Packard were trading at about $15.30 compared to Dell at $51, IBM $135, and Red Hat is at $180, I've written here. So Hewlett-Packard, the cheapest, so I would get more shares for my money as well in Hewlett-Packard. So that's the reason why I went behind Hewlett-Packard. I think they have a reputable name and, decent, I think, growth aspects. More and more stuff's coming online, etc. So I went for Hewlett-Packard for that. Now, Case New Holland, I'll try and be brief here. Similar reasons. Well, in their category, I had Deere & Company, or John Deere, and they're trading at about $150. Agco, they make agricultural equipment as well. They're at like $70. And Boeing, which are well over $340, according to my notes here. Now, Boeing, the price was ridiculous, and also they haven't had very good press in recent times, so I didn't go for Boeing. It was really between Case New Holland Industrial and Deere & Company for me. I decided not to go with Deere & Company for 2 reasons. First of all, the price I think is too much, and also they don't have any subsidiary brands. Deere & Company, their only brand really is John Deere. And if there was, I suppose if the brand John Deere was to get tarnished, people stop buying John Deere tomorrow, their business is in a spot of bother. Whereas Case New Holland Industrial have multiple brands. They have Case, IH, they have New Holland, and they have about 3 or 4 other brands as well, and they're not just agricultural brands. So I decided to go for them because, well, they're cheaper. They were trading at about $9.50, Deere & Company at $150. And if they get into trouble, say financially, they can sell off a brand, they can sell off a company and whatever else. And say if people tomorrow don't want to buy Case, they will still be selling stuff under the New Holland banner. So, yeah, just a couple of small investments. There's two other companies I've invested in. One is a cannabis company and also a solar power company, which is aptly called Sun Power Corporation. Pretty sure that's what they are, yeah. And it reminded me of the name of a podcast I listened to, and that's pretty much the only reason why I got on that train. I was like, that reminds me of this podcast. So, a little bit of a boring story. I suppose, if you're not into finance, you'd be like, this. But, yeah, interesting. I just thought I'd share that with you. Now, this last story I've got for you is, it's interesting. Now, it very much is you have to know the people you're dealing with, their background in particular things. Now, my brother told me this story, and his boss's son is a farmer, and he has a backhoe. And the story is the gentleman from the local pub was borrowing it because he wanted to do some work on his land. Okay, no problem there. However, said pub owner was apparently also renting out said backhoe, was hiring it out, the guy from the pub was hiring it out himself and the backhoe for X amount of bucks around the district to do work. Now, that itself is pretty dodgy, pretty shifty. However, this next bit I'm going to explain to you, I find a little bit amusing. Now, the person whom he was borrowing the backhoe off used to work, for Interpol, like International Police. That's what Interpol is. He used to work for Interpol. It was pretty high up. Also, said person's brother is assistant? He is the assistant police commissioner of my state, of the state police. He is the assistant commissioner, and also, the person whose backhoe it was, used to. If pub guy knew this, would he have decided to rent out the backhoe of somebody whose brother's the assistant police commissioner and who themselves used to work at Interpol? I probably wouldn't personally. Hey, that's just me. But yeah, that was. I thought that was hilarious. Like, surely if you had half a brain anyway, you wouldn't be like, oh, let me borrow your digger, use it for yourself, and then be like, oh, well, how about I hire it out around town? Like, that's a crap thing to do anyway. But to do it to somebody who used to work at Interpol, was pretty high up there, and whose brother is the assistant police commissioner, probably not something you should be doing. Well, that is it for this episode of the podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed it. You can tweet me, email, Twitter, all that jazz. And the podcast is on a couple of new places as well. We're on iHeartRadio. I mean, like a long time ago, I submitted to iHeartRadio, and I only recently got an email saying, the podcast is on iHeartRadio. So thanks for being super efficient with that. iHeartRadio. Thanks. Of course, we're on TuneIn as well. We're on Stitcher. I think maybe if you just Google Luke Who's Talking and you'll be able to listen to it. Begs the question, how are you listening to it now? Anyway, I'll catch you next time. Bye.